do you know what a TFSA is, right? It's that time of season. If you remember with the Harper government last budget, they announced an increase last year in the amount of money that you could put in that year. And then it came into effect, I think, in June or July. So both, and then when the Liberals got in, they announced that they would be paring it back starting in 2016. 3 different points where the interest in these things hugely spiked. And what we found was the questions people had weren't, oh, so what was that range again? I can donate. Their questions were, what is a TFSA and how does it work? And should I be putting money in this in RSP or whatever? Like there's really, really fundamental questions. So we produced a bunch of content, of videos. We had an infographic, 4 things you should know about. We had just blog posts from people like Preet Banerjee and other financial experts we work with. And both back at the time of the budget, at the time of when the change came into effect, and then again when the Liberals got in, and then now, that content got consumed at very high rates, both organically and then with some smart paid activation of it as well, because there's a lot, we haven't gotten to this yet, but there are a lot of channels in which to take your content and get it out to the world beyond your own channels. And the paid channels are designed now. There's things like Share-Through and Outbrain and social media activation that wasn't there a number of years ago. So in other words, the metrics on that were good, and we can even show pathing to the point of people, current clients opening up accounts or prospects becoming clients. So we always, and I know we're going to be talking about metrics soon, but we always look at it in 3 components. The consumption metrics, is the content getting read, and read through to the end or viewed or downloaded or whatever. And then there's the engagement metrics. Are people commenting? Are they sharing it? Are they somehow interacting with it, clicking on the, if there's a CTA or something? And then finally, conversion metrics, and that might be all the way to the point of someone opening up an account or becoming a client. Conversions that aren't maybe as valuable as that, but are still valuable. I'm going to sign up for your newsletter, or I'm going to do something, take some kind of action that helps bring the brand closer to them.
So I have an example as well, if you want to touch point on that. We did a campaign back with Postmedia through some custom content and native deployment. And then we did some social amplification on that. And so the premise of what it was a client that worked more in the content, in the, corporate engagement, corporate change management sort of field. And it was a very challenging campaign because if you can imagine the content that would go out for that, one of the first things we had to make sure that the client was comfortable with is that not everyone is going to like you. But be okay with that because out there, somebody will. And and I know it's going to seem like you're failing at the beginning, but as we start nurturing down a path, we start identifying with something very wide in terms of just the overall feeling of what they wanted in terms of identifying with people who have problems in their corporate infrastructure, to people who can identify specifically with some of the needs that they provide as a service. So as we started funneling down, it took about 2 months, in the very patient client, because it was all about identifying with the people who do care, learning about the people who do care, and communicating with more content around those individuals. So learning as you go, which eventually turned into somebody at the very end saying, actually, how do I get in touch with this client? Because there's an opportunity that I think that we could have you come in. And that ultimately turned into one of a big success. So the client saw ROI right away, and they believed in the process from then on because, again, it's all about the patience and nurturing people down a path.